Okay, I think now it is recording. So let us move on. So yesterday we were talking about IRR, and we talked about IRR in case where we have an equal cash flow, but we have some other items in our notes. So make sure you review your notes also. There's some other items which I did not talked about, which maybe you can apply in the exam. But for today we are going to handle something else, and that is the next PDF. So you have the PDF of risk and uncertainty. We're supposed to start from risk. That was the second PDF. Risk. But before we start from the risk and uncertainty, I wanted to go back to capital rationing. So I really wanted to go back to capital rationing. So you allow me to go back to capital rationing. So remember the topic is still advanced capital budgeting. So you allow me to go back to capital rationing. Now, capital rationing is applied in the situation where we do not have enough money. In the case where we do not have enough money to undertake all the viable projects. So all the projects are viable or they are good, but we cannot undertake them. Reason why? Because we do not have enough money. Then that comes in the aspect of capital rationing. So capital rationing is very important for analyzing those projects that are worth undertaking. Those projects which are worth undertaking. Those projects which are worth undertaking. So let us define what is capital rationing. So capital rationing, and that is in the first PDF. The first PDF is under the first PDF capital rationing. And remember, it is used when we use PI to analyze capital rationing. So capital rationing. Capital rationing, and you can say that occurs where there is a scarcity or limitation of funds. So occurs where there is scarcity or limitation So it usually occurs where we have the scarcity or the limitation of investment funds. To undertake all the viable projects. So to undertake all the viable projects. We can also define it as a situation where the firm does not have enough money to undertake all the viable projects. So a situation where the company does not have enough money to undertake all the viable projects. Now, when analyzing capital rationing, we use PI. So we use PI during analyzing of capital rationing. So remember, PI is a metric that is used for ranking. So remember, PI is a metric that is used for ranking. So don't forget that PI is a metric that is used for ranking. So you need to know how to rank using PI. So you need to know how to rank using PI. Okay. Now let's talk about type of capital rationing. So we have, I think, 4 of them. So we have 4 of them. We shall talk about them. No, actually not 4. Supposed to be 2. Okay, 4, 4. 4, but this one naona ameweka tu mbili. Tutaangalia hizo zingine if we shall have time. Or maybe we can review. So let us start with the main one. Type of capital rationing. Remember all these things we did it in intermediate. The type of capital rationing number 1, we have what we call the soft or internal capital rationing. And what is this? So this is a situation where the fund do not have money to undertake all the viable project as a result of the action of the management. So it is through the action of the management that these people do not have money. So they can decide to borrow, but the management does not want to borrow from the bank. So then they end up not having enough money to undertake all the projects. In that case, we call it soft. So the company does not have enough money because of the action of the management. For example, the management refused to borrow. So you can say occurs where there is shortage of investment funds. Occurs where there is shortage of investment fund as a result of the action of the management. As a result of the actions of the management. We can also talk about mismanagement of funds. So where the management have mismanaged the funds of the entity, and therefore, because of their actions of mismanagement, the company do not have enough money. That one can also be categorized as example for soft. Let us see examples. So occurs due to the following. Occurs due to the following. Number 1, where management refuses to borrow money, borrow additional finance. That is number 1. So in the case where the management themselves decided not to borrow. Another reason, where the project can only be financed by internal generated fund, and therefore you cannot borrow. So you are limited to only. So in this case, you are only limited to internal funds, and therefore, if that internal funds is exhausted, you cannot find money in any other place, and therefore that also could lead to capital rationing, because now you are limited just to the internal generated fund. And then where there is a set budget limit, so where the management has set budget limit, budget limit. So in this case, you cannot borrow beyond your limit that the management has set. So all those actions could lead to what we call soft capital rationing. Soft capital rationing. Number B, let's talk about hard capital rationing. So hard capitalization. Now this is where the company does not have enough funds because of the factors which are beyond their control. Like for example, economic factor or the hardship within the economy. So it is affecting everyone. So the management cannot control. Now you can see, so we also called external capital rationing. You can also call it external capital rationing. Capital rationing. So external capital rationing, and we say scarcity of investment fund. Scarcity of investment fund. Due to what? As a result of the action, sorry, due to factors. Due to factors which are not within the control of the management. Which are not within control of the management. So the management cannot control them. I.e., inflation. We can talk about pandemics, etc. So when we have a pandemic, for example, COVID-19, then COVID-19 brings the issue of funds. So the company cannot raise enough money. Now that pandemic cannot be controlled by the company because it's a factor which affects the whole country as a whole. And therefore, since the company cannot control the pandemic, then it will lead to what we call the hard capital rationing. So the company will not have enough money because of the factors which they cannot control. For example, they cannot control inflation. If the inflation is rising and the cost of living is becoming a problem, then it makes the company not to have enough money. And in that case, it will lead to what we call hard capital rationing. Let us see occurs due to the following. We say occurs due to the following. So occurs due to the following. Number one, let us talk about when the capital market is depressed or when the market is depressed. We can talk about when the economy, let us use the word economy, is depressed. So when the economy is depressed, so meaning when the economy is depressed, it means that the country is experiencing hardship in terms of inflation and the cost of living. And then number two, when the cost of issuing funds increases. So we can talk about when the cost of issuing finance, that is the cost of capital. Remember that we're talking about cost of capital increases. Also that one will lead to the problem of also lead to a problem of hard capital rationing. So when the cost of issuing finance increases, and when you say cost of issuing finance, we're talking about cost of capital, including interest and other costs, including interest and other costs. Let us go to our past paper. Let's go to our past paper. We do a question before you do. So we have other two type, which we are talking about them after we do this question. So we have single and multiple periods. Zinakwanga ine calculation. So this one we shall do it once we do this question. So the question relates to hard calculation. So let's go to our past paper. Or let me share. Let me just share. Uh-huh. So can you see my? Can you see what I've shared?
Yes.
So that is last sitting, August 2025, question number 1A and 1B. Let me try and zoom in. So that is August 2025, question number 1A and 1B. So can you read question 1A?
1A. Highlight 4 reasons for soft capital rationing in a farm.
What are the reasons? Umeshasema.
Tumeshaandika.
Can you guess one?
Where the management has set a capital budget limit.
Yes, where the management has a set capital budget, or where they have set their budget. Then also where the project can be financed by internal generated
Funds.
and then where the management refuses to borrow additional
Funds. And also there's one that I saw in the PDF where the management refuses to raise additional capital through issue of shares to avoid dilution.
Yes, that one is also fine. That's correct. Now let us do question number 2, 1B. 1B is about Ushindi. So Ushindi Ltd is considering the following project. So you have project A up to project E. Then you have the additional information about the variable cost is 40% of the revenue. Each project is divisible. Project D and C are mutually exclusive. What did you say are mutual exclusive event or projects? These are the projects which can.
They are project which can be undertaken independently, like they don't depend on each other.
Yes, once you do one, you ignore the other one. Silvio.
Oh
The
yeah.
cash, then the cash flows are confined within the lifetime of each project. Cost of capital is 10%. We have been told to ignore taxation and depreciation. Then our capital limit. So we cannot exceed how much? How many million? 400.
400.
So that is our capital limit. So we are supposed to use either 400 million or less, but we cannot use more than that. All cash flows occurs at anniversary dates. So the cash, in short, the cash flows are the same from each year. So they are annuity. Silvio.
Yeah.
So required number 1, optional allocation of the available capital, the project. Number 2, we are supposed to determine the maximum NPV. So let us do it, Silvio.
So
But screenshot so that because I'm going to stop. Oh, you have the actually you have the past paper, Silvio. No need of screenshot.
wacha nifungue.
Sawa sawa. So mimi hiyo swali nitakuwa nikikuuliza juu sitaki nirudi huko. So these are the answers. Aka 25 question number 1A nimevuta, but these are the answers. Where the management refused to borrow, blah blah blah. So let us start with the project A. We are supposed to analyze all the project. So let's start with part A of that question. So to it, So part A, that is August 2025. Question number 1A and 1B. 1A, we have done it. So we are doing 1B. So for 1B, we need to know how to compute NP. We say the present value, cash inflow, minus present value cash outflow. Is that correct? So let us start with the project A. Let us start with the project A. And we say project A, what will be our present value? Let us start with the present value cash inflow. So what's our total revenue? So tutakuwa naniambia juu ndio kuna swali. So project A, what is the total revenue? Remember our question is in million. Annual revenue. Kutoka hapo juu. Umeandika?
Annual revenue ndio total revenue.
Eh,
Project A is 200 million.
200 million. Now, before even we do that one, remember for you to get the present value cash inflow, we are supposed to take, let me give you a formula, that I'm supposed to take our total sales, which is our annual revenue, with less our variable cost, then we less our, kama kunayo, we less our fixed cost, if there is fixed cost. So what you get, you multiply with the present value interest factor. Present value interest factor. What is our percentage? Kwa hiyo swali? I think 10%.
10%.
But remember, the cash flows are the same because so it is
annuity.
Yes, an annuity. So we are going to use that formula. So let's start with the project A. So project A umeniambia sales ni ngapi? 200, sivyo?
Sales, annual revenue ndio sales 200 million.
200 million. And then you're supposed to raise variable cost. Additional information number 1. What's the variable cost?
40% of annual revenue.
So kumaanisha variable cost hapo itakuwa ni 20%. Or
40%.
So 40% of 200 ni ngapi? Itakuwa 80. Is that correct?
Yeah.
80 minus, what's our fixed cost? Do you have fixed cost in the question? Fixed cost. Now, fixed cost is the same from inakwanga mostly the same.